It has rained so bad. I have like little streams. I haven't been able to get in the garden. It's so bad for the dirt when it's this muddy and wet, but I don't actually have an option. There are things that have got to get picked in here and preserved, or we're gonna lose them. And now that at least I have some sunshine and some weather, swinging around a knife because I'm completely crazy. Welcome back at 6 o'clock at night to the Every Bit Counts Challenge. Let's see what we can harvest. Welcome to Modern Homestead Alaska. We are Aaron and Jessica Milnes. We are building a modern homestead outside of Wasilla, Alaska, with the help of 3 of our children. Our second son, Caleb, our daughter, Cody Ann, and the youngest of our family, Wyatt, along with our 3 dogs, Tipper and Daisy, and the newest addition, Roberto. Okay, let me tell you what we are after and why I didn't get any spinach. I did get spinach. It bolted so quickly. It went to seed. We didn't get any spinach we could harvest. However, I do have all of these other greens out here that I'm going to show you. We're going to grab them and we're going to can and process them just like you would spinach. And I'm going to have them as a substitute for throughout winter. I'm going to do canning on them. You could, of course, just blanch and freeze. There's 100 ways of using it. We are going to can them. I don't even know where to set you to harvest that you're not in a giant jungle. But the Swiss chard like this is what we're here to collect, any greens along those lines. Well, I went through and I trimmed all the Brussels sprouts. I pulled what I thought was, and then I just found another little cauliflower there. There's no longer broccoli or cauliflower in the garden, and there's no longer chard, so Swiss chard of any type in the garden. The walkways are now becoming compost pile. There's so much going on in here. It is like a jungle. I am so amazingly shocked at all of this. So I have some preserving to do. Let me get this whole bucket of food into the house. First, I just filled the sink with cold water and vinegar. We do have some slugs, some bugs, some spiders, all of those things. We want to kill off anything that doesn't belong in our food, and then we also want to get it super duper clean. My garden is completely organic. It has no chemicals or pesticides or any of that, but we are not interested in canning compost. We're looking to can the fruits and vegetables of our labor, and then I just pick off the tops of the chard and throw it into a bowl, and I'll show you what I do with the 2 separate pieces. I am going to cold pack my veggies, and what that means is everything from what's in the canner, which, by the way, I switch canners when I realize I don't need the giant canner and I'm not going to run that amount of propane, when I can use the countertop electric canner, no problem. So I give mine a trim. You don't have to. You could just certainly shove as much chard, spinach, whatever your greens are, into the jar. Cold pack means we are going to use cold water or room temperature tap water to fill our jars. We're not using boiling water. And then the other thing is the vegetable itself is at room temperature. It has not been heated at all. And so the water that I put in the canner is going to be the same temperature so that we're not losing jars. So it would break a jar if, say, you put it in the hot canner, the canner had hot boiling water, and then the jars themselves were not hot. You can blow up your jars that way. So I just chop and stuff these jars as full as I can get them. And then this huge amount only stuffed, when we stuff it all down, made 10 jars. So that's why I swap out from my big stovetop canner to the electric canner. So we have 10 jars, which is plenty for our family. ready to go. And then while I have the first set going in the canner, which I will show you how all of that works on the second set, I am going to just rinse and chop the stems. I am not worried. I know that the stems taste slightly different from the white Swiss chard and this ruby red colored Swiss. I am not concerned about it. What we're going to use this for in the wintertime is we make a lot of soups and stews. And instead of using like pak choy or something like that in some pho, we will use a bag of these stems and they will just cook down and be wonderful. Some other uses for the stems could be in place of celery, but also they would be wonderful in like stir fries. Anything kind of Asian influenced is my personal preference. Now, I'm not going to flash freeze or pre-freeze, and I'm also not going to blanch and freeze any of this, whereas I'm going to blanch and freeze all of the cauliflower. I'm just going to put these straight into the bag. They're going to be fine, but I am going to vacuum seal them. So I'm going to pull all the air out and then seal them up. I do large quantities. You, for your family size, may not be making as much as me, so you might want to do maybe a quart-size bag or something smaller. Now onto blanching and freezing. I know that I have shown you this before. I am going to start with the bit of broccoli. There's only one bag worth of broccoli. So instead of mixing it in with the cauliflower, which I had originally kind of thought, oh, I'll have enough that I can do a cauliflower broccoli mix. Not the case. The broccoli was young and thin and it made its own bag, and then the cauliflower separate. So in the big white pot that you see me stirring, I have very salty boiling water. I put the broccoli in for 3 to 5 minutes. Now, if this were a green, maybe it would go in for a minute. If this were something that needed a little more cook time, it might be on the 5-minute end. So each vegetable, its own, so on. So here we go. We're gonna go 3 minutes. We're gonna set a timer, and then when it is done, we're gonna pull it out. And then coming back after the 3 minutes, I'm going to pull the broccoli out. It is going to go directly straight into ice water. The ice water is not salted, so it kind of takes a little bit of the salt off of the vegetable, but the vegetable is delicious. So straight into the ice water. I'm going to leave that in there for the next full 3 minutes while I do the cauliflower that is going to go in. The cauliflower I'm going to have to do in batches because I have now officially pulled all of the cauliflower. Yay for us. We are done with cauliflower and broccoli for the entire season, preserved for the year. And then this is us here just pulling the cauliflower out after 3 minutes. Like I said, we're working in batches. I do remove, but I didn't show. You can kind of see a little bit of the broccoli there in the corner. I remove it to a clean towel. Now, I use this bath towel. It's not used in the bathroom. I use it for canning and things like this, where I am able to just really bleach and clean this towel, but it is a good absorber, and then that way I can get these vegetables nice and dry before we package them up and put them in the freezer. I was going to clip this, but why was Roberto just standing there like a statue in the corner the entire time? I have no idea. That dog is so extra. Oh, goodness. I did want to share, as we super speed through this process here, some of the uses. I do like to make a lot of cauliflower rice in the wintertime. We just really, really love that with our Asian food instead of regular rice. And then I also love to eat cheesy cauliflower, is one of my favorite ways. So I just like to throw it in the oven with some butter and some cheese, and it is so yummy. So there's 2 ideas to use your cauliflower. Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through canning the greens. It's a little bit different and a little simpler for me because it's cold pack. I have a filtered reverse osmosis water, so there's no chlorine or anything in it. And so it's right there on the sink. So I fill up the jars using this chopstick. I push down and let up and push down and let up to get all of the air bubbles out. There is so much air in a product like this that you really have to work at it. You want between that 1/2 and 1 inch of headspace, and you want to make sure that the vegetable will go underneath the water, although it decides to pop up a little. When it cooks down and you see it at the end, it is shocking. So as these jars had sat, waited for the first batch to run through, now we're on to the second batch. They had like bloomed out of the jars. So that's how much is actually just crammed in there, is every bit that we can, because it cooks down so stinking far. It is amazing how little you actually end up with, but it is such a punch of flavor in a soup or stew throughout wintertime when you do get to open these jars. So I just clean the rim with a towel, no need for vinegar, there's nothing sugary in it. And then I load them finger tight into this electric pressure canner. They're gonna go on high for 70 minutes. I have the weight preset on mine at the 10 pounds, and that is based on my elevation. And then these pressure canners are so amazing. You just push start. It does the 10 minutes itself of venting, and then you rotate the weight that's on it, and then it rebuilds the pressure, and it counts down the 70 minutes. While that is going, I am now got the cauliflower, the broccoli. It's been dried long enough that I am going to just vacuum seal those up and get those ready for the freezer. Again, with size, I generally like to package it in smaller sizes, like 1 meal's worth. Today I decided there's just so much cauliflower that I would do it in larger sizes. And with this sealer, I can kind of decide the size of the bag. I know that I can open the bag, take out what I want, and then refreeze or reseal the bag and throw it back in the freezer. No problem. So seal up the quantities that works best for your family. And then just keep in mind sometimes that you go, if you bought like a Costco size of cauliflower or broccoli or something like that, it's in a huge bag. And once you open it, you have to figure out what to do with it. What's nice about these vacuum seal bags is we can open them, take out what we want, reseal, and throw the bag back into the freezer. So whatever, do what works best for you. That is always my motto. All of our families are different. The dynamic's different. The size of the family is different. How much we eat is different. So do always, always, always what works best for your family. So here is the end. We have 10 jars of greens. That's what they look like when they come out. The other 5 are in the canner. I have these 3 really large bags of stems, these 4 giant bags of cauliflower, and some broccoli. Now, let's jump in to another day so you get a 2-for-1 on the Every Bit Counts. I seriously came out here to start doing a catch-up day, and in the past videos, I let you know like the chickens would be free ranging again, and I want to show you the funniest. So these are young. I just got these, all 4 of these guys this year. Why have they decided the woodshed? Bert, leave them alone. Bert, they were so cute. Well, they were so cute. Hanging out in the shed. They are doing amazing now that all the meat chickens are gone. They're just everywhere. Huh, ladies? Huh, ladies. So today's harvest is all this curly kale and the cauliflowers. Some of the cauliflowers spread out a little bit, but most of them are really, really beautiful and they're buried underneath there. And then I look at a basket like this and I think, wow, that's such a huge amount of food to pull out in one day. Like, that's probably a year's worth of kale for smoothies. And then there's only a couple of them that I left that are real small that were succession planted. And we'll use those for fresh eating, of course. And then there's just a couple little baby cauliflowers throughout the garden. Otherwise, we pulled all of the curly kale that is going to be preserved and all of the cauliflower that will be preserved for the year. So let's go in, wash this up, and get that done. So this video is kind of backwards, out of order. I did the kale first, but it is sitting in the freezer, and before I end this video, will process it and have it bagged up. However, the cauliflower from this day I refrigerated, and then in the very beginning of the video, what cauliflower there was, I did process it all together at once. Okay, so you probably just saw I chopped up some stems. I don't skin it. And the reason is because most of this gets turned into like blended smoothie type thing. So I can totally have the stems in there. I just lessen the stems, but everything is about waste not, want not, right? Like, this is what I'm not using. That's it. Out of that entire bucket, all of this will get used and frozen. Like these little stems like this, I don't worry too much because that just goes into the blender, no problem. What I will do is skim some off of the top and have for fresh eating right now. The rest of this, as I wash it, I'm gonna put a little bit of white vinegar in the water, wash it really well, and then I'm just gonna put it on a sheet pan and put it in the freezer. When it is frozen, I'll bring you back for that. But this is just gonna soak with a little bit of vinegar to clean it for a little bit. I'm gonna take a few handfuls so I can eat that now on a fresh salad, and then the rest of it will pop in the freezer. Got a gift in the mail. I kind of know what it is, but Caleb, it's for him. Okay. What is it? Card for all of us. What's her name? You don't know how to say it?
Looks.
That was the thing. Nice. She sent you a camera.
What's this for?
For your cabin. It's a Wi-Fi camera so you can check things out. Isn't that cool?
Hell yeah. Thank you.
It either plugs into like one of your outside lights, or you can plug it into that thing and bolt it up.
Sweet.
Nice.
Where did it get its power from?
She sent me a pen for my garden, but Aaron, what were you saying about that book?
Well, they said I think this is the double muskies. I was told is supposed to go down and try it for the best steak in the area.
Nice. We just went through all of these. There's some super cool cookbooks in here. But there's also, this is a Alaska Wild Plants, the Riversong Lodge cookbook, a sourdough cookbook. I love sourdough. Best of Alaska, Alaska Gardener's Handbook. This is super helpful. I'm gonna look at that one. Wild plant. This is amazing because of the amount of wild stuff we have growing here. And then a church cookbook. And then Erin's already reading 2 cookbooks down there. So we are so grateful for you. Thank you so much. And I look forward to being able to know what I planted. All right, so now that it's frozen, so this is how much this giant bag of wash, dried, and now completely frozen through kale. I'm going to show you why I pre-freeze my kale, because I'm not looking for it to hold its shape, because I mostly use this in like smoothies and such, but I can crunch it down, and then when I package it to go into the freezer, because we don't want it freezer burnt, this kale will end up like less than half. So imagine the amount of freezer space that a bag like this takes up. So I got asked why I use this. This one's just easier as far as sealers go upstairs. And then I have my big sealer in the basement that I use all the time for Mylar. It does excellent on Mylar. It doesn't suck the air out quite the same on certain things. So on the chamber vac. So anyway, long story short, it is just simple to use this food saver when it's upstairs, but when it's a giant project, which this probably crosses that line and probably should be using the chamber vac, but the sun is shining and I need to go outside. So I just need to get this over and finished so that I can be done and then I can head outside. So I just seal the bag, fill it. Now we want to work quickly. I literally just got this out of the freezer and it wants to defrost immediately. Now, soups, stews, smoothies, anything you can add these greens in, they hold up really well even though they're frozen. And they make for an amazing, nutritious addition to all of those things. So, clean hands. Give me some inspiration in the comment section. What do you use frozen greens such as kale and collards and the rest of them for in the wintertime? There you have it, my friends. That giant bag of kale has now been condensed down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bags of kale. These, if I open them, use just half or part in a soup or something like that. I can reseal the bag, no problem. All of this gets popped into the freezer. And with that, if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, you'll get notification. Thumbs up and comments all help our channel to grow. I super look forward to seeing you in the next video. I really do have to run. If you had been around here this summer or you are in Alaska, you know, it has been flash flood raining here for days and days and days, and I have to run out and get all the purple kale out of the garden along with any other greens and I'm going to pop them into the freezer the same way, although they are going to get preserved a different way. Make sure you've joined so that you can follow all of that along. We'll see you in the next video.